All right, so um, this morning I was interacting online, just playing games with my friends, and I ended up logging into your profile. And when I did, I was sending a message to someone that I couldn't message on my profile. And that was when I saw the message thread between you and one of your old friends. And I have a concern about that.
Who was it?
Tala, is that the correct name?
Maybe.
You tell me.
He blocked me.
Well, so here's my concern. Okay, and I want to take the time to discuss this with you because I care about my children. Okay? You're not in trouble.
Okay.
Now, I'm aware of the fact because Shiloh explained to me that the two of you were playing a video game together. I guess it was Total Reliable Delivery Service or something like this.
Yeah.
And I guess there's an emote in the game where you can fart. Is this correct?
Yeah.
And that's what you did, was that you made the emote in a video game to fart on your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the consequence of doing that in the game? Like, did it have a negative effect on the game?
No, it just like knocks you out. Like you get stars over your head, and your character like falls over for a second.
Then that would be comparable to when you and I play Mario and you jump on my head. You are making a decision that comes at the expense of someone else that you are interacting with for your own amusement or betterment. You are taking advantage of that person for your amusement. For that reason, you absolutely deserve to lose that friend. You are not worthy of a friendship with that person as a result of the fact that you continue to justify those double standards. This behavior pattern that you have demonstrated with your friend is the exact same behavior you demonstrated down the street. You made a decision interacting with another human being, which came at their expense that they did not like. And because you created that strain and that stress on that relationship, they don't want anything to do with you anymore, do they? Now, how many times do you think you'll have to demonstrate behaviors like this before you learn?
Hopefully not too many times.
Every time you choose to violate the basic golden rule, you are demonstrating a behavior pattern that your father hates. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Now, I told you that you're not in trouble, and you're not. The consequence of what you did is that you lost a friend. And now you get to suffer the consequences. But the part about that that pisses me off, and the reason that we're talking right now, is not because you screwed that up or created the initial offense. The initial offense happens in life. Sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes you will have friends that will make mistakes with you. You will have friends that will demonstrate boundary issues with you. You'll have friends that step on your toes, that do things or say things that maybe you don't appreciate either, that might hurt your feelings or that might offend you. This is why we're talking. Because if someone does these things to you, what I don't want from you is for you to behave the way that your friend Tala behaved. The way that your friend Tala behaved is the exact same way that my own mother has treated me in life. It is the reason for all of my psychological issues as a human being. I, as a human being, lived my life. I made my choices to the best of my ability. As a child, in many cases, I made choices that maybe were not fully thought out, maybe half-cocked, a little ignorant, short-sighted. Every child does this. It's one of the things that we do to learn and to grow. Now, when we make mistakes, we have to be willing to admit that we're wrong and to learn from them, right?
Yes.
You admitted that you were wrong. You apologized to your friend. You tried to demonstrate that you cared about his feelings. However, you had already offended him,
Yes.
and he was not willing to forgive you. That is the behavior that my own mother was guilty of for decades of her life. She wouldn't forgive me. Do you know why?
No.
It gave her a sense of power over me. It made her feel like she was in control, to withhold love, to withhold forgiveness from her own child, to make me feel like I was a bad person because of what I did. The choice to not forgive someone begins to create forms of emotional abuse for someone else. Because they're hurt or offended, now they want to hurt or offend you also. Two wrongs will never make something right. If a person makes a mistake or a bad choice, should we choose not to forgive them and make them feel bad about themselves? No, we shouldn't. We should extend forgiveness to them, give them the opportunity to admit that they were wrong, to learn from their mistake, to take accountability, and to do better going forward. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that is the reason that we're talking. So when I happened to see that conversation thread, I took a look at it briefly. Your sister, she filled me in on the details to help me understand what it is that had taken place. If you have social experiences like that take place in your life, Gideon, I would encourage you to speak to me about them.
Okay.
I don't want you forming relationships with people or trying to maintain relationships with people that do not honor the golden rule.
Okay.
Now, that means that you might make mistakes that do not honor the golden rule also, in the same way that they might make mistakes that do not honor the golden rule, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people make mistakes, but if they are honoring the golden rule, they will be willing to admit that they are wrong. They will care about how their choices have negatively impacted you or the relationship, and they will be able to correct that because they care about you. But if they care more about being right in their own mind than they care about doing what is right, they won't be capable of demonstrating that behavior. They won't be capable. It won't even be in them. Your grandmother, who is in her 70s, more than 7 decades of life on this planet, cannot demonstrate this behavior pattern because she cares more about being right in her own mind. And she makes herself unworthy of trust over and over and over again. All she would have to be willing to do is to see and to correct what she's doing, and she could get off of that merry-go-round. But she'd have to be willing to admit that she was wrong and to take accountability, and she can't. Do you understand that your friend right now is making the decision to ignore you and to try and treat you with disrespect because he's offended?
No.
You don't see that?
No, he blocked me. He can't hear my messages, I don't think.
Well, no, you aren't blocked. Those messages are still being sent. But regardless, do you understand that he has chosen to treat you as though you are not worthy of respect or consideration because of something that you've done?
Yes.
This is what I'm trying to help both of you understand. And I mean both of you. Because out of the 4 children that I have in my home, it's the 2 of you that struggle with this weakness the most. Your older brother and your older sister, they are not struggling with these things. They have already learned these lessons. Does Griffin or does Elliot try to emotionally manipulate you to make you feel bad? But both of you are guilty of demonstrating that same pattern of behavior, aren't you? When you become offended, you try to treat the person in a way that makes them feel bad. Can you think about times you've done that?
Yeah.
2 wrongs will not make something right. So when I have friends that screw up with me, I give them the opportunity to take accountability. Heck, even if they don't want to take accountability, I will go out of my way to give them the opportunity to acknowledge what they have done is wrong. whether or not they are willing to acknowledge that their choices failed to uphold the golden rule or not, that's going to be one thing that's going to show me whether or not I'm compatible with that person. Jesus teaches us to forgive 70 times 7. That's almost 500 times. That means a person could step on your toe over 400 times, and the Lord is saying, keep forgiving them every time they do. I don't want to be a doormat, though. I don't want people stepping on me, do I?
Yeah.
No. If a person is going to learn from their mistake, they have to be humble. If they are not going to be humble when they make a mistake, they will continue to make the same mistake. Gideon, you've made this same mistake before, where you've got going, your energy's too fast, you're not paying attention in the moment, you're just having fun, and then you decide to do something to amuse yourself at the expense of another human being. You think it's funny to use people like they're toys, apparently, for your amusement. Every time you demonstrate that pattern of behavior in your life, you are guilty of sin or transgression. You are violating the commandments of God when you do so. When you treat another person that way, you are not only showing them, but you are showing Jesus Christ that you don't care. Jesus said, if you have done it to the very least of your brethren, you have done it unto me. So, as funny and stupid as this might sound, you chose to fart on Jesus in a video game. Because if you have done it to the very least of your brothers, you have done it to the Lord himself. Do you see the problem here? Now, I'm your dad, and I'm telling you, I don't want friends, and I don't want to associate with human beings who function this way. You know this about me, right?
Yeah.
You know that I hate liars. You know that I hate people that can't take accountability or admit when they're wrong.
Yes.
That they just keep doing the same crap again and again and again and again, expecting different results. Gideon, I don't want a son that's demonstrating that ignorance. You don't want to keep losing friends because you keep making these mistakes, do you? That hurts you, doesn't it? It feels uncomfortable inside of you, doesn't it? I want you to recognize that, one, if they're willing to write you off that way, good riddance. Good riddance. If they are willing to go ahead and function that way, then I want you to understand that that is an example of the saying, the trash took itself out to the curb. That is someone that has removed themselves from your life, and you should be grateful that you have quickly seen that they do not honor the golden rule, that they play by double standards, and that that is not someone that you would have ever been capable of creating a long-lasting relationship with. You couldn't have done it because they don't have the principles inside of themselves to be able to create a relationship of that depth or value. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry that your friend treated you that way. I'm sorry that he chose to ignore you, or that he chose to just completely throw you away over one mistake in a video game.
Okay.
I'm glad you have. I saw it this morning, and I chose to take the opportunity to address it.
Thank you.
Griffin, good morning. Have you had any relationships with people where you've made mistakes and they've chosen to judge you and not forgive you?
No, because I've never had any direct relationship with anyone.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
No. I've only met them a few times, but I've never actually built a close bond. But
What about your siblings?
yes, I have heard about how Shiloh was a very rude and disruptive friend. I have heard about how rude Gee's friends have been. I was never in any direct relationship, but I was hearing about how they were very mean, and I could listen to their conversations.
Well, this all boils down to a topic called emotional intelligence. It all boils down to a topic pertaining to conflict resolution, okay? And this is, again, why your mom and I have spent so much effort trying to teach these things to you children. You're all going to grow up in this world. You're going to be functioning in this world, just like your mom and I have to function in this world. Your ability to interact with other human beings, that's just part of the game of life, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, if you have the ability to go live out on some postage stamp of land in the middle of nowhere and be completely self-reliant and produce your own electricity, food, and water, and you don't have to rely on any other human being, well, I guess you can go play Farmville by yourself. But otherwise, for the rest of us in this world, life is intradependent. That means that we literally need to rely on one another in order to achieve certain outcomes. The ability to interact with people who keep their word, who do the things they say they will do, who follow through, these things build trust. If you form a relationship with someone, you want to be able to trust that person, don't you? Yeah. So if you're in a relationship with someone and the way that they respond emotionally creates manipulation and abuse, that's not someone that you're going to be able to maintain a healthy relationship of trust with. If they become offended and they can't communicate to you in order to address that offense in a manner that turns stumbling blocks into stepping stones, that takes the problem, identifies what it is, and figures out a solution to move forward, that person's not interested in solving anything. They're only interested in being in their own little bubble. They're playing their own little life, but it's not about functioning in the universe. And so one of the things that you guys have the burden to learn is how to identify and discern people based on their development, based on the choices that they make, and then choosing to respond to those people appropriately. The way that you respond to each person should be according to the golden rule. You should treat them the way that you would want to be treated if you were in their shoes. That doesn't mean that if you like chocolate cake that you should go out and give chocolate cake to everyone else. Some people don't like chocolate cake, do they? So honoring the golden rule is recognizing that if someone likes vanilla cake, that you don't force chocolate cake on them just because that's what you like, that you respect their personal preferences also. Understood?
Yeah.
When you interact with people, every person is at their own point of development. Most of the people that you will be interacting with will not possess the understandings that your mother and I have been teaching you. They won't get them. Children, the majority of children in this world do not have parents that apply the amount of time, effort, and energy that your mother and I are pouring into you. Most kids are neglected. Most families are stretched so thin that their mom and dad has to be gone all the time, working their asses off just to be able to pay the bills. And the kids end up neglected. The kids do not get taught by their parents in the ways that they could be. This happens. So if you're a student in a school where you're receiving more learning than a student in a different school that's not receiving the same amount of learning, who's going to learn more?
The first person.
That's right. You guys are in that first group. Because of the choices that your mom and I have chosen to make as people, you are receiving education that others are not receiving. Now, this isn't about being better than other people. This is about being better than who we were yesterday. It's not about us trying to compare ourselves to other people to feel good about ourselves. I point this out to you because if you know these things, you are literally going to have more difficulty in life on some levels than other people, just because you have those understandings. Good morning, sweetheart.
Hi. Go back to bed. Well, honey.
No, she's getting ready for work.
Oh, right, it's Thursday.
Yeah. So, your mom and I have both experienced the exact same kind of situation that you've just had with your friend Tala. Your mom and I have both had that exact same experience. Multiple times.
Exact same.
Yeah. Where we've done something that hurt someone else's feelings or offended them. We didn't mean to be offensive. We weren't trying to create negative energy, but maybe we made a short-sighted choice. Maybe we said something, put our foot in our mouth. Like, human beings make dumb choices sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that we're trying to go to war with someone just because we make a short-sighted decision. It doesn't mean that we were trying to set fire to the bridge that was built between us and someone else because we made a bad choice. Now, if they make bad choices, how would they want us to treat them? Do they want us to just completely throw them away because they make a bad choice or they make a mistake?
No.
No. That's called cancel culture. That's what that is. Cancel culture is a behavior of the natural man. It is a behavior of emotions. It is not a behavior of love. It is not a behavior of forgiveness. It is not a behavior of conflict resolution. For the record, the stake president in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints back in New York, Clark Johns is the man's name. This is a man that claims he serves God, and I've been trying to persuade him to talk to your grandmother to assist her in understanding these things so that she can repent. This man doesn't even understand these things. He doesn't even take accountability. He's supposedly some godly man, and yet he can't even demonstrate these behavior patterns. And if you point them out to him that this is what he's doing, that he's guilty of these behaviors, he just judges you more and continues to withhold love because he's too busy caring about being right to do what is right. That's my point. Jesus said we fight against spiritual darkness in high places. If you end up with a human being who's now in a position of leadership and they don't even understand how to forgive, they don't even understand how to apply conflict resolution or squash issues in order to turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones, that person is only going to live by cancel culture. And anyone that's not good enough, anyone that doesn't measure up to perfection standard, will be canceled because that person lacks that development. This is my point, is that if you can start to identify the people that honor the golden rule from the ones that don't, you will be able to identify the people that are worthy of keeping as friends and the ones that, let me point it to you this way. Jesus said, whatsoever you measure to another, so also may it be measured upon your own head to overflowing, right? So if you're going to dish it out, whatever you're going to dish it out, it's coming right back to you, right? Well, if Tala, your friend, if what he dishes out to people is if they make mistakes, he throws them away, then what should Tala be deserving of?
Being thrown away.
Any mistake Tala makes, he's gone.
Yeah.
Because that's what he measures to others. That's a broken standard. That's not a good standard for anyone to uphold, is it?
Yeah, no.
No. So again, the standards that you extend to other people, eventually you'll start to realize that those examples are all examples that Jesus Christ has set. And eventually you'll start to realize that Jesus Christ was setting those examples 2,000 years ago when people were so dark. They were willing to nail him to a cross, literally take his life from him, because they would not admit that they were wrong. They were willing to kill someone who was defending the very things that I'm telling you now. 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ came into this world, and he was defending these teachings. He was teaching human psychology, way before human psychology even existed as a subject in the world. He was trying to help people understand that you should love one another the way that you yourself would want to be loved. But in order to do that, you have to understand how to love yourself correctly first. Love your neighbor as yourself. Well, how can I love my neighbor as myself if I don't even know how to love myself as I'm supposed to? See what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is why your relationship with God is important. Your relationship with your actual Father, because I'm just your dad, but your actual Father who loves you way more than I even know how. He is the source of light and truth in your life. All I'm doing is making honks and squeaks and trying to teach you the things that he's taught me. Eventually, you'll have to be capable of receiving revelation for and in behalf of yourself and recognizing when you do. The relationships with the people that you create should be created according to the instructions which Jesus Christ has given. If Jesus Christ loves you enough to teach these things and to even lay down his life so that you can have them, do you think there might be some value in them? Well, in the scriptures, in the 18th chapter in the book of Matthew, Jesus Christ teaches the subject of relationships, and a lot of people don't seem to be aware of it. A lot of people, they want to sit here and argue about all these different things in the scriptures, and they don't even seem to understand that their choice to argue in the first place is an indication that they're not honoring this instruction. So Christ said, basically, mistakes are going to happen in life. But the way that he refers to these mistakes, he calls them trespasses. What's a trespass?
Step on
Being a boundary.
Yeah, going beyond a boundary, that's right. Now, Jesus says that if your brother, and it could also be written if your brother or your sister, or your mom or your dad or your teacher or your boss, it doesn't matter. If any human being trespasses against you, you go and you tell him between you and him alone. That's the first requirement. So if you do something that offends me, should I go ahead and get on the internet and tell everyone about how you offended me? No, I should come to you personally, and I should address my offense between you and I, and I should tell you what it is that you've done, how your choice has negatively impacted me. I should try my best to explain it to you, to give you the opportunity to understand what mistake or bad choice you've made. Why do I do that?
So you can learn from the mistake.
Well, if you do something with me, let's say you and I are interacting and you do something that upsets me or trespasses against me, should I tell you or should I keep it to myself?
You should tell me.
If I don't tell you, maybe you don't even know that you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
If I don't tell you, then you might just keep making the same mistake again and again and not even realizing that you're making that mistake. Every last one of us are like children. When we were very little, we needed mommies and daddies and teachers and adults that knew more than us to help us learn from the mistakes that we were making. We needed them to help us. Again, life is intradependent. If you take a human being and you have them grow up completely away from other people, that person's going to grow up kind of wonky because they won't have the benefit of interacting with others. But if I make mistakes, if I do something wrong, I want someone to hold up the mirror for me, to explain it in very clear terms, in a manner that's not designed to hurt me or to attack me. Basically, like they're trying to explain it clinically, like a doctor. And then, after holding up the mirror, they give me the opportunity to see my mistake. Now that I've had someone take the time out of their life to show me what I've done wrong, what do I do? How do I react? How do I respond?
responsibly?
That would be a good way, and that's what Jesus teaches. So if someone comes to me and explains that I have trespassed, and they do so correctly, well, my desire is, again, to hear that person, to recognize what choice I've made that has negatively impacted another person. I want to do that. I want to learn from my mistakes so that I don't keep making that same mistake again and again and again in the future, right? And if I have a friend who's willing to hold up the mirror for me and help me correct my mistakes, that's a real friend, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the kind of friend I try to be to all of you. You guys make mistakes with me, don't you? I try to help you understand what it is that you've done wrong so that you can learn from it and correct it, right? And if I do something that hurts your feelings or comes at your expense, I want you to tell me your feelings too, don't I? I care about that. I don't want to keep making mistakes that come at your expense either, do I? If we keep the positive energy between us, we can learn. The Spirit has the ability to teach us and to edify, all sorts of blessings. But if there's stress and strain in relationships, those blessings can never occur. This is why Jesus teaches in the 18th chapter of Matthew, if your brother trespasses against you, go and tell him between you and him alone. And if he hears you, you have your brother again. So if you do something that offends Griffin, and Griffin comes to you and says, Gideon, you took my toy without asking, or, you did this and you knocked my toothbrush in the toilet. Like if something happened, right, and he wants to come and tell you, you made a mistake and your choice, your carelessness, or whatever you did has created a negative impact for him, the way that you respond will either show Griffin that you hear him, or the way that you respond will show Griffin that you don't care. Now, if you take the time to tell me your feelings, and I take the time to listen and to understand, do I care? But if you take the time to tell me, and I respond to you like some of these people that we've seen respond to me, and they tell me flat out, I don't care. Did they hear me? No. In fact, they have literally shown me, they are telling me, they are showing me point blank, this person is not willing to honor the golden rule, even if they make decisions that come at my expense, and I hold up the mirror and say, hey, Brody, you stepped on my toes. Their response is going to be like, I don't care. I'm going to be who I want to be, and it doesn't matter if it comes at your expense or not. Is that someone that we should have as a friend? No. That's what Tala is. Tala is that kind of friend. It took me a long time before I started to see these things in life, before I started to recognize that people weren't upholding the rules and they were playing by double standards. And many of them, when they became offended, they'd just treat you like you were dirt, like you weren't even deserving of consideration or respect. They would throw away the entire relationship. I had relationships with people that I had had for years, and suddenly they arrived at a point where they became offended over something that I didn't even know they were offended about. Instead of communicating to me what their offense was and addressing it and moving forward and maintaining the beauty and the sanctity of the relationship, they were willing to exercise cancel culture and just completely throw someone away. That hurt my feelings a lot because I valued that person. And if they had done something that had offended me, I wouldn't have just thrown them away. I don't want to treat people like that because I know what it feels like to be treated that way. Again, that's how my own mother was treating me. So for me as a person, I've been trying to help my own mother learn and understand these teachings for many years. I have tried to teach them in many different ways, many, many times. Your oldest brother, Jaden, he has also attempted on multiple occasions to help your grandmother understand this principle. But her problem is that when she makes mistakes and you explain to her what she's doing, she always feels personally attacked. She feels like you're trying to hurt her feelings or you're trying to insult her just by showing her that her choices are not something that she would want someone to do to her. To her, it feels like it's a personal attack, like you're saying she's not good enough as a person. And then she doesn't hear you. She was like, okay, whatever, I don't want to hear it. Like, all right, fine. Like, and that's how she responds. She just wants to shut it down. She feels uncomfortable when she has to see what she's done wrong. Have any of you done anything wrong before?
Yes.
Have you ever had to choose to see your mistake?
Yes.
Do you know that discomfort that we feel when we do?
Yes.
That feeling makes your grandmother so uncomfortable, she can't remain in it long enough to repent. She keeps defending how she wants to see herself in her own mind, and she remains on a merry-go-round. Children, your grandmother is in her 70s. You have a mother who is a licensed mental health professional who literally takes care of human beings that struggle with mental health challenges. This morning, your dad is taking time out of his life to teach this to you. Do you think that it's important?
Yes.
The relationships that you create take you where you're going in life. If you choose to maintain relationships with people that do not honor the golden rule, who do not uphold the teachings pertaining to the golden rule, these people will always end up making decisions which come at your expense. They will always arrive at a point where their own lack of emotional development will unfortunately result in you coming up on the short end, because you're going to learn the hard way. You couldn't trust what they said. You couldn't trust what they were going to do. They, as a person, are not willing to forgive others in the same way that they would want to be forgiven. They're not willing to take accountability when they make choices that come at your expense. They play by double standards. Anyone who does this will hurt you. And if you wanted them to care so that they could correct what they did, they can't. In order for my mother to be able to repent, she has to be capable of admitting the things that she has done wrong. And she has to do so in a very specific way. She's not willing to. Because if she had to do that, then other people might become aware of the reality of her weaknesses and the things that she's struggling with. And she's so afraid of them seeing the reality of her life that she wants to hide these things. That's not a mother that I can trust. That's not a mother that's willing to make decisions that are in the best interest of her children. That's a mother that cares more about how she sees herself and how she is seen by others. Those behaviors are completely opposite and contrary to the teachings that are taught within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's the way she raised me, with those teachings, and she doesn't even play by those rules. She's 70, people, 70. If you fail to learn these things in your youth, you might arrive in an older point in time and have a very difficult point trying to learn them then. There are some lessons that are way easier to learn when you're young. When you start to get older, those lessons can be super difficult to learn. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. What have you learned, Shiloh? What do you know? We've just discussed this. What have you learned?
I learned that you should not try and make friends with people who do not honor the golden rule.
You can try to make friends with anyone you want, but the depth and the quality of the friendship will always be determined based on the principles that both members in that relationship uphold. If they don't have the same principles, they will end up betraying you. It happens. But people make mistakes, right? You guys haven't always upheld the golden rule with me, right? So should I just not maintain a relationship with you then? So I should be willing to forgive you in the same way that I want to be forgiven, right? And that's the golden rule. It's not about us needing to be perfect, and it's not about people needing to, live in a way that they don't make any mistakes. It's about us being willing to afford grace to others and to teach them. You guys can't perform at a level of understanding that you've never received. Neither can your friends. You guys have seen me play video games with people online, right? I teach them the things that I know, right? And then they can do the things that I can do too. And then they teach other people, don't they? And then my friendship network grows, doesn't it? You guys have the same ability to do the same thing. But in order to do so, you need to be able to be confident in these teachings. Now, my confidence in these teachings comes from the fact that I know who authored them into existence. I know who invented these teachings, basically. I know the source of that truth and that light. And because I already have a relationship with him, and because that relationship that I've had with him has been going on for decades, there was a time I didn't trust him. Did you know that? I did not trust Jesus even after I met him. I had had so many people lie to me. Literally for years, I continued to not trust Christ. For many years, I tried to disprove the gospel. That was what I had happen in my life. And he showed me. He showed me the consistency. He demonstrated the love. I, as a person, understand how to love you better because of the love that Jesus Christ has shown to me. He has continued to forgive me when I make mistakes. He has continued to help me to learn from my mistakes. Even when my own family and my own religion threw me away because of what I did not know, he showed me by treating me correctly. And because I saw that light, because I was able to discern it, I was also capable of demonstrating it for others. I learned from him. So, for me as a person, while I have many relationships with many people, there is one relationship that matters more to me than all of the rest. And that is because when everyone in my life abandoned me, when everyone that I had ever extended trust to demonstrated betrayal, they demonstrated their own selfishness. It was like when Jesus went into the garden and all he wanted was his friends just to be there and to be awake, and their flesh was weak. When I arrived at my own point where I had no one to rely on, Jesus Christ did not abandon me. Now, all of you have the ability to form your own relationships in life. But I do not know of any being who has ever existed on this planet who understands the subject of relationships better than Jesus Christ. I have not encountered any teacher or any guru or any advisor that is capable of explaining love, forgiveness, unity, equality, justice, all of these things. Jesus Christ seems to understand them on levels that blow my mind. I am so stupid in comparison to how intelligent he is. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I don't need to be smarter than I am. I'm happy learning and growing step by step. I'm just happy to be a child of God. So, with that being said, I desire for all of you to have the confidence in your soul that comes from your personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I desire for all of you to feel as confident in your relationship with Christ as I feel in my relationship with Christ. I want you to be able to be the kind of friend to other people that Jesus Christ wants to be to you. Just because other people in this world are willing to uphold double standards doesn't mean we have to, right? Right. Gideon, I'm sorry that your friend treated you that way. Well, he's an asshole is what he is. Although you made a dumb choice, if he was willing to throw you away, he obviously was not a best friend. Shiloh seems to think that he was your best friend.
He was my first.
First, but can we really call it best?
Actually, no. I was better friends with his cousin.
Well, and so as you've seen, you guys have watched me create many relationships with people. Some people come, some people go. You guys will have the same situation in life. Don't create a sense of self-worth out of your friendships. Your sense of self-worth should come from one relationship only. Your Lord and Savior. Cool?
Cool.
Make sure you guys go get some breakfast.